So because I am trying to kind of reshift my life into not being so awful and doom scrolling and being a complete slug half the time, I decided that not only am I going to delete social medias, I'm going to watch more movies, I'm also going to read books. And this is the first book that I decided to pick up. I am about 94 pages through the book. Not about, I am 94 pages through the book. I am on chapter 19, and I'm here just to talk about my thoughts on the book so far. Not like I get very many comments to begin with, but for whatever reason, I do get some comments on this video. A good chance I probably won't check them, like, just in case, just for the small chance that what happens in this book, I have 400-ish pages left. I don't want anything to get spoiled, so I'm not going to check. Although I will leave the comments open for engagement. Anywho, but I am 94 pages the way through Heat 2, and so to kind of quickly describe this, so Heat was a 1995 crime thriller. I believe it was 1995, but mid-1990s crime thriller starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, considered one of the greatest movies ever made. I've watched it. It's a 5 stars on my Letterboxd. And then in 2022, the author said, I'm going to publish a book. He published this book. And now there's going to be a movie that I believe comes out next year with Christian Bale and Leonardo DiCaprio. So a quick background on why I decided to pick this up was I was at Barnes & Noble and I wanted to read, I can't remember the exact name of it, but if you're big into books, then you probably know about the Stephen King JFK book where, it goes back in time, tries to stop the murder of JFK, assassination of JFK. And I went there to pick it up because Ryan Trahan's wife, Haley Pham, who I don't watch like all of her videos, but I do find her videos quite entertaining. And I watched one of her videos. She's like, yeah, it's a great book. If you're a dude, pick it up. I'm like, I'm a dude. I'm going to pick it up. So I went to try and go find it. Wasn't there. But while I was walking around Barnes & Noble, I saw this beautiful book gracing the shelves. And if you're curious, the original Heat movie is a fully original movie. This book sequel, this novel sequel, is a sequel to the movie. It's not a sequel to any other book. It goes movie, book, and now they're going to make a movie based off of this book. Although just off the first 100 pages, I can already tell, they're going to cut some stuff from this. And that's, I guess, some of my criticism of it is that some of what's in here so far is just kind of there, and it's just, I don't really see how it's going to tie into the narrative. I don't know where this narrative is going to go so far. Anywho, time for me to stop rambling. So, as I kind of talked about earlier, I want to start ascending. We're going to ascend Max. We're not going to doom scroll Max and be a dumbass like how I've been for the past, just another slug for most of this year. We're going to try and change that. My Instagram account and Snapchat account, gone. I should have deleted Snapchat immediately after high school. It took me about a year, but I did. But a quick reference on my reading history. I've always wanted to be a big reader. I want to be a lot of things. I want to be a great actor and a great award-winning director one day. But I want to always be a reader, and I'd read a little bit. I've read the first 2 Harry Potter books. I've read read Pete the Cat. I've read, No David, The Hungry Caterpillar. So I'm a big reader. Anywho, the last time that I read a novel was probably about a year ago. I've read How to Win Friends and Influence People, but I hate those kind of business try to inspire you books. My dad recommended me reading it because I had a hard time making friends in college. Second semester, it didn't help. I did not make any more friends. I was kind of a loser a little bit my first year of college. No shame. I actually transferred colleges because I'm that much of a loser. I changed my major. I went from economics to theater because I was that scared. And by the way, I'm terrified to be a theater major. That kind of is overwhelming because whenever I had my orientation, everyone that was there was already into theater. I haven't done theater since my freshman year of high school. So I'm a little scared. And also it's a theater major. What kind of fucking job can you get with that? Even though I don't know if I'm one that wants to work a traditional 9 to 5, I'd like to do this, hopefully, to kind of what my end goal is, I'm rambling. I will eventually get to the book, but I want these videos to be kind of ramble-esque. Actually, one thing I was thinking about is that I think every Saturday I'm gonna try and post a highly edited, highly like, I put a lot of effort into it video, and then the rest of the week's videos are kind of just sit down and ramble. But what I'd hope to be with YouTube, what my goal is, everyone's got to have a goal, you got to dream big. What my goal would be is to make videos, be able to make money doing it, and then be able to use that money and kind of leverage, a little bit of internet status into making movies instead of just being like completely unemployed trying to make movies. And I've been driving Uber Eats, so I have a little bit of money coming through, but, make some stuff like that, and, that's the goal. Anywho, my history, the last novel that I read, it was a book series. I read Jurassic Park. I read it for a school assignment my first semester of my senior year of high school. And then I loved Jurassic Park so much, I read The Lost World. I love The Lost World book. Definitely better than the movie The Lost World. The thing is that the book Jurassic Park is very different from the book or the movie Jurassic Park. And then the book The Lost World is totally different from the movie The Lost World. It is so beyond different. It's kind of hard to explain. But that was probably the last time I really sat down and read a novel. I didn't have to take like an English class in my first year of college. I do have to take one this upcoming semester of college. Yay. I don't expect my grades to be great this semester, not gonna lie. Because I'm gonna try and do this and keep on doing Uber and still go to the gym. That's the goal. And do I have decent looking arms? Not particularly. This is weird. I'm starting to flex in this video, like flexing my semi-existent biceps. They're there a little bit. I've been cutting recently. I was actually like 195 at one point. Now I'm 170, so that's cool. I'm 7 minutes into this video and I have not talked about Heat 2 yet. Anywho, I decided I'm going to start ascending, so I picked up Heat 2. What are my thoughts so far on the book? I've wasted 7 minutes of your life already. Let's get to something substantial. Let's talk about something substantive. So far, I really do enjoy it. I don't think it is a 5 out of 5 so far. Granted, I have this much left of the book to get through. So there's plenty of room. Right about now, I'd put it at about a 4 out of 5. And to be honest, the only book I can think of that I would give a 5-star would be the Jurassic Park book. I think that book is fantastic. Lost World would probably be a 4.5 star range. But what do I like so far? So, by the way, spoiler warning. So the book starts with a prologue, just kind of recapping the movie. And then the first part of the book, it is kind of talking about Vincent Hanna and Chris Shirillis. Even in my head, whenever I say it, I always say it wrong. Shirillis, something like that. Val Kilmer's character. And so he's the only main character on Neil's team that survived the original Heat movie. And so the movie starts with, or the book starts with him just being like, okay, let's get out. Hannah's on the run. And so then we go back about 7 years to 1988 when Neil McCauley's in Chicago and Vincent Hanna's in Chicago and Chris is in Chicago. And so at the moment we're watching kind of Neil's team get ready for a robbery, and then Hanna is solving a like murder, rape, underage sexual assault of like a 14-year-old girl. It is intense. And he's like ripping lines of cocaine. Vincent Hanna, Al Pacino's character, is ripping lines of cocaine with a college student. So it's pretty intense to start off. And I have really enjoyed it so far. My only, I guess, real gripe with it so far that I have had that is kind of a knock is the writing style and kind of some of the stuff we're writing about. There's some stuff in here that at times feels like filler. If I can kind of skip to the page, it's pretty recent, I just read it. So we go into a big, deep backstory of Vincent Hanna in Chapter 19. Also, Chapter 18, Chapter 18. If you've read this book, I wonder if you've also noticed this, or if you do read it. the chapters can be very short in this book. They can be a page or two. Chapter 18 could have been like 4 or 5 chapters, just with how Michael Mann and Meg Gardner have written this so far. But like in chapter 18 is the only chapter where we're jumping between different story arcs. At the moment right now, there's 3 kind of arcs. You got Neil McCauley kind of doing his thing with Chris. You have this crime boss in Chicago. They're connected to McCauley because they use the same people for equipment. And then you got Hannah is looking after the boss and his crew. Literally, the character's called The Boss. That has nothing to do with Neil McCauley. And so we're kind of jumping between those. And in chapter 18, that's the only chapter that very oddly jumps between all 3 kind of story arcs. But in this chapter, there's a lot in here that is just about like how Vincent Hanna's parents immigrated to America and how his dad was like an alcoholic. And it's like I'm reading it, and it's an interesting backstory for a character from a great movie. But my one thought is like I don't really fully see how this might connect to the future plot. And also while I'm reading this, they do a weird job of kind of showing like inner characters' thoughts to like how they say it to themselves. They italicize it, and at first it didn't really like register to me that was happening. I don't read a lot. I'm gonna try and read more, but that didn't fully register to me at first. Like, oh, that's strange. But then there's other times that I'll kind of be reading, and I'm like, wait, when did we totally kind of change subjects here? And maybe, once again, I'm not a big reader. This is my first book I've read in probably a year. But I will kind of read, and I'll be like, whoa, this came out of fucking nowhere. But, like, in this, we talk about how one thing that kind of did come out of nowhere is that we start talking about how Vincent Hanna went to Vietnam. He was a Vietnam veteran, and then he went to law school. And I think there is some interesting insight on his obsessive nature and how he kind of got that obsessive nature. But the thing is that the prologue of this book, like the 6-page prologue, kind of explains he's obsessive. This explains why he's obsessive, but at the same time, the action that we're going on, the story that's being told at the point of 94 pages in, I don't fully kind of sometimes see why are we fully describing this. Why do we describe about how Vincent Hanna's dad was an alcoholic who got into a gunfight and got shot when fighting like the KKK? And so, but so far I would say it's still a 4 out of 5 for me at the moment, 94 pages, and I will make a full video kind of once I finish the book. And once again, I'm still very early in the book. I'm about 20% done because I've been keeping up with it on Goodreads. And so, obviously, we're still kind of in a little bit of a setup phase. We're kind of getting into the action now. And so I do still have questions, and that's a good thing. A good book is going to have you have questions. But there is kind of sometimes with the writing where I'm like, okay, so we're kind of just doing random things at times, it feels like. It feels like we're just kind of randomly doing stuff. And maybe it is, I just read it, my brain kind of just shuts off, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? I guess another thing that I would say is a positive about this book is if you've ever seen the movie Heat, you know it's very realistic, very much attention to detail. That attention to detail is still here, but that also does lead to some scenes that are like, wow, that maybe didn't have to be as specific. And maybe this is more my brain-rotted tendencies kind of seeping in. Like sometimes I watch a movie like, oh, this feels kind of long. It's like, no, it's not long. I just have a short attention span. But there's like 3 or 4 paragraphs, about a full page in chapter 18, which is the chapter that I just read, that is about trying to turn off an electrical box so that Macaulay's gang doesn't get seen while robbing this bank. And for me, it's kind of like, did we fully need to go into that detail? You could have just said he goes up there, he does it. We don't need to go into the exact vocabulary of it. But some can argue that's what makes it great. But so far, about 100 pages in, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep on reading. I'm going to finish it. I'll make a video on it. I will say, I think as a movie, it will be better because I really doubt they're going to go into Vincent Hanna's whole, like, family, like, lore. But we'll see. I still have about 400 pages left to see where that can kind of tie into it. Or if not, it's only like a section of a chapter, really. And so I'm looking forward to it. I just kind of want to spew out my thoughts. I know I put my letterbox sometimes in the comments on this, and so sometimes maybe people look at it. I really doubt it. I get like 10 views a video at the moment, but it's just kind of crazy because like probably a year or two ago, I was posting more Mr. Beast style content, and I get like 100 views a video, but that content wasn't very fulfilling to me. I've privatized all of it. Eventually, I will unprivatize it, but I kind of want to get going again on doing videos and really make Dylan Thomas videos, not make Mr. Beast videos, which is I don't know why I did this, which it seems to be a lot of what YouTube is now. Like, I was looking at KSI, and I'm like, oh my god, his videos are just Mr. Beast, but it's just KSI instead of Mr. Beast. Whoa, that's kind of crazy. And when I say video, I mean like his short form videos, but I'm assuming his short films are similar to that highly edited style of long form. But what was I talking about? I was onto something and I just totally forgot. I think, okay, this is onto my rambling side. Is if for whatever reason anyone looks at my reviews on Letterboxd, whenever I do put my Letterboxd in the description, which I will on this video if you're interested. But one thing I do is I do just kind of like have like a thought, just like I throw words onto the page. You know what I mean? Like whenever someone says when you write a rough draft, you just kind of just throw it on there and then go in. That's kind of what I want these videos to be, but what I think I'm going to start doing, maybe not in the near future, but once I kind of get situated back into my room and I get my desk and I kind of get a good little workspace, is I want to start making high quality videos once a week, spend all week kind of making them, give myself that deadline on Saturday, and but then have the rest of the videos I do throughout the week so I can get a volume of content. Me just talking, yapping. I think that's one thing that is missed on YouTube, but also I can have a tendency to where I just kind of go all over the place. But also I kind of like to have these videos be a little bit like therapeutic in a sense, where I can just kind of talk about my thoughts on stuff, because none of my 19-year-old friends care about Heat 2, but maybe I can find someone on the internet that does, and maybe they're also 94 pages in exactly. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the internet, is that you can connect with so many people, but then I also am a big like stranger danger kind of guy, and so sometimes I do feel weird connecting with people on the internet. Like whenever Fortnite was big, I never played Fortnite with any of my friends that played just straight randos, because I thought that was weird. Anywho, I've been rambling on too long. I'm going to say if I'm 20% through and I've had it for 5 days, a week, 2, 3-ish weeks, depends on my pace, expect a full-length review of Heat. Maybe that will be an actually highly edited video. Who knows? Anywho, have a great day. Be nice to other people. Be empathetic. Be sympathetic. Try to understand something. Find one thing in another person that you don't like to try and empathize with, because there is something. I don't think there really is true such thing as pure evil. I think there's good, an ounce of good in everybody, and I believe that. That's kind of one thing that's interesting about this book. It kind of takes the opposite approach to that, where it's like there is like a lot of similarity between the good and the bad. Anywho, I've gone on too long. If you've made it 19 minutes through this video, you're a champ. Thank you. Have a good day.